colleagues who are joined online, and my loving students, good afternoon to one and all. I feel privileged and honored to extend my warm welcome to all present here for the talk on career opportunities in defense services by Captain R.R. Patil sir, organized by Armed Force Club, IEEE NKSS and IEEE Student Branch. We all know our country has brave soldiers and brave officers who will never be afraid to stand against the criminals, terrorists, and anything which is against the nation. Today is a very great day for all of us, because today we have invited a great man who has served at various capacities in Indian Navy for about 36 years. To mention few, Captain served in warships, warplanes, military establishments on land, both on the western and eastern coast of India. He was a professional naval air operation officer and has done 4 years of tenure in the Service Selection Board at Bangalore. His last appointment was at Naval Base Karwar, where the prestigious Seabird project is shaping into a biggest military establishment in Asia. So it's a great honor for me and everybody who are present here to welcome Captain Rudragowda R. Patil sir for today's function. Sir. I request everyone give a warm welcome to sir. My hearty welcome to our backbone of our college, Dr. Sharad Joshi sir, principal, who inspires all of us to conduct these type of activities. And also I welcome Dr. Kulkarni sir, Mr. Ravi Hosmani, Dr. Kumar Sami, who are coordinating and instrumental in inviting and request him to give the talk on opportunities in defense services. My hearty welcome to all the heads of the department who have taken time to grace this occasion. And also, I extend a hearty welcome to my dear colleagues, faculty, and my loving students who are present here and who are joined online also. And also, I extend my warm welcome to the faculties and other colleagues who are joined online for this event. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I request Principal Sir to welcome our chief guest by offering a book. Thank you, sir. Now, I request Ankita Kulkarni to introduce our today's resource person and chief guest, Dr. R.R. Patil, sir.
Good afternoon to one and all. I am Ankita from ENC department. I am honored to introduce our chief guest, Dr. R.R. Patil. Captain R.R. Patil, Indian Navy, has retired in 2012 after 36 years of active military service and has settled in Belgavi. He was born in 1965 at Belgavi and his native is Devlati village in Kanpur Taluka, Belgavi district. He attended his primary schooling in St. Paul's School, Belgavi, and then joined Sainik School, Bijapur in 6th class for further education. Thereafter, he joined the National Defense Academy, Pune in 1981 and was commissioned in Indian Navy as officer in 1985. In Indian Navy, he has served in warships, warplane squadrons, and military establishments on land, both on western and eastern coast of India. He is a professional naval air operation officer and has done 4-year tenure in Services Selection Board at Bengaluru. His last appointment was at Naval Base Karwar, where the prestigious Seabird project is shaping into a biggest military establishment in Asia. His wife, Mrs. Mayuri R. Patil, is a double postgraduate with MA Psychology and MB Live degree. Their son is an Indian naval officer and is a pilot flying the warplanes. They also have a daughter who has completed her MBBS. It is an honor to have Captain R.R. Patil with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankita, for introducing our chief guest. We are honored to have you here, sir. Now, I request our chief guest to deliver the talk.
Okay. Something else. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, thank you. Anyway, Dr. Joshi, Principal, KLEIT Institute of Technology, Dr. Manu, Dean, Heads of Department, staff, teaching and non-staff teaching, and dear students. And dear students, to you very nice good afternoon to you all, because you are the target audience for me and you're very important. Okay. While driving from Belgaum, I was just thinking as to how I should start my presentation. It was raining quite heavily, and I think I brought the rains to your college also from there. Okay. The point is, it is very difficult, or rather it's quite challenging in the present times to address and tell audience like yours. The other day I was talking to one of my medical doctor, who was a friend of mine, and he said, you know, what is the most challenging thing nowadays when we diagnose the patients, is that they come with so much of knowledge on the disease and the medicines that they're supposed to take. So it's quite challenging. So it is always, you know, there's a dialogue between the patient and the doctor, and finally the diagnosis goes for a 6. So that's what he was telling me. I suppose the internet in the present times gives you so much of information, so much, and it is like a labyrinth. I was telling Dr. Joshi, it's like a labyrinth or a chakravyuh. You get into it and it's very difficult to come out. So, but what is important of the internet is that you need to extract the exact information that's useful for you and how well you can make use of it. And my attempt today has been exactly the same. There's so much of information. I didn't know that the internet had so much of information about the armed forces of India. And every website I went, it was very different than what actually it's on ground. On ground, things are very different. There are career institutes which have created their own information on armed forces of India. So at the outset, I would like to tell you all, please go to government websites only when you try to get into the career options. Don't get into any other websites. Okay. You will get wrong information. Probably your application, if you're applying for a career, it will not reach the right place. Please only get into the government websites and try. Okay. My friend, my classmate, Professor Dhruva Kulkarni, had contacted me about a month plus back, and he said, we want you to come and address our engineering students, and said that I want you to speak on the topic career opportunities for engineering graduates in Indian Defense Services. Now, before I go further, I want to tell you two things. Career opportunities. In fact, in the armed forces, we don't call it career. It is career plus way of life. It's a different way of life. It is a different culture, maybe in sync with the outside culture, but it is done in a very different manner. So I will say that career and way of life opportunities for engineering graduates in Indian Defense Services. So that is where I start with. In fact, I would like to request Dr. Joshi and Dr. Manu, if they can organize under the aegis of the Armed Forces Club, a visit to Seabird, which is at Karwar. In fact, all the students should go there, and you can see how a defense establishment, especially the Seabird, and it is highly technologically driven base. And in fact, the defects can be monitored on sitting in a room, all defects. And it's a high technology driven establishments, which you all should go and try and visit and see what it is. It is going to be ready in another 3-4 years, but the work is on. They permit students to go and visit. You can send a request letter to the, I can give the address, so you can always send it. So with that, I'll come to the topic. From the time of Ramayana and Mahabharata, India has been a land of warriors. I think that is the oldest record we have got. Before that, maybe I don't know whether they were warriors or they're just hunters. But yes, in Ramayana and Mahabharata, we had warriors and armies and all that thing. Down the line, India has had kings, queens. We have had kingdoms, aggressions, and from there we have learned that what we require for any country is a strong armed forces. And the history has it that since our armed forces were weak, our kings were weak, we had the external, the foreign colony people coming, and we were under their rules for a very, very long time. So the first thing that is required for any country is that you need to have a good armed forces or a military to take care of, firstly, external aggression and to preserve the sovereign integrity, the boundaries. External aggressions can be in many ways. It could be just be by a handful of people, it could be by aircraft, ships, and whatnot. So we need to be guarded all the time. And that's what we do exactly. The armed forces, when we are not fighting wars or any other aggression, we are preparing for war. And that is what is our job, prepare for war. So I put this slide just to tell you that we are definitely a land of warriors. And in our childhood, whenever there was a fancy dress competition, the first thought that came to the parents was, okay, let me dress my son or even daughters at times in, military uniform and send for the competition. So I think right from our childhood, we have that dream to wear the uniform and, be part of the armed forces. And why not? There are opportunities and many opportunities, which I will subsequently tell you. So this is just to tell you that you all can be yodhas of the Indian Armed Forces. Okay, so what you engineering students can be, you can become an officer. Why? Because you have, for the last 4 years, after your 10+2, you have put in a lot of efforts to get a degree, which is B.Tech degree, whatever it is. And it is not easy, I'm telling you, to do these degrees and get a good percentage. But what is important is a good percentage at the end of your degrees. Okay. Degrees you can just get, but what is important is that you have to work hard, get a good percentage. And what is a good percentage? It depends on various, like the armed forces might just put a cutoff saying that this is what is a good percentage, or outside in forces or anywhere, they can put a percentage and say this is what is our cutoff. So that That is very important. You might enroll yourself for a degree, but to score well and to be sincere to score well is what is important for you all. Anyway, so you can become an officer, and how, I will just tell you as we go further. The Indian Armed Forces. I'm just putting the slide. Maybe some of you are quite aware as to what is the Indian Armed Forces. I'm sure the Indian Armed Forces Club here is quite aware as to what it is. This is, it encompasses the three parts of the Indian Armed Forces. If you see the anchor, it is the Navy. Two swords are the Army representation. The bird is the Air Force. And the one on top is the Indian, the Ashoka Chakra, Ashok. So that is important. That means we guard the sovereignty of India. Ashoka capital, it's called as. Okay. So now when I look at, when you're separated, the Indian Armed Forces, the Army, Air Force, and Navy, there are paramilitary forces as well, but they don't form the armed forces of India. We are a special category, which are commissioned by the President of India. Our Supreme Commander is the President of India. He gives you commission as an officer. It is like, somebody was asking me, what is that difference that makes you a selection from other paramilitary or IAS or anything? You are given commission by the President of India. So you serve directly for the President of India. And what is it? The three forces, what do they stand for? Primarily, the Army, its own equipment, war fighting machines. The Air Force has got different in terms of planes. The Navy has got different in terms of the submarines and all those things, which we will see as we go along as to how it makes it different. But for the common man, the Indian Armed Forces is nothing but military. So a lot of people use this word military, and sometimes it comes down to army. So army is everything, the three put together. It doesn't matter. Okay, for us, it doesn't matter as long as we continue to do our job. Okay, I'll come to the brass tacks. You all want, you got degrees, you want a career, what to do? Okay, for the first thing is there is an application which generally comes the websites. There are three websites: Join Indian Army, Join Indian Air Force, Join Indian Navy, and the government website. So where you can, get into the website and see how you can apply for it. Some of this after your application is scrutinized, there is an entrance exam that they might conduct if they have to take you further. Now, when you apply for two types of commission, called as a permanent commission and a short service commission. A permanent commission is that you serve for a longer period, minimum 20 years, and you're eligible for certain perks and privileges, which the short service commission may not be eligible. There's a difference. So when you apply, after you get to know what is permanent and what short service commission, depending on your requirement, you can probably select whatever you want. Now, after the application is scrutinized, there's an exam, you qualify for the exam, you go to a place called a Services Selection Board. What is Services Selection Board? Is a place where you are selected to be an officer based on certain psychological tests, which I'll touch upon that subsequently. After you finish the first two, then you go for medicals. There are certain standard medical, height, weight, chest, and your internal, everything is checked in about 2 or 3 days. And thereafter, all this, there's a merit list, and thereafter you get into the armed forces as an officer. So these are the basic steps, which is common for all the three services, with minor variations here and there. Just to bring you back, I think I'll play this video for you before I talk about the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. Audio? Can someone help me how to bring the audio there? Okay, now that you saw a short clip on the army. You see a lot of words used: communication, IT, technology, niche technology, intelligence. You will see. So you will see that Army, Navy, and Air Force, we have become quite technology intensive. So there is definitely a role for you all. Now I shall talk about various entries in the armed force. In the Army first, thereafter I'll take on the Navy and then the Air Force. To have a broad view of what is Indian Army, there are about 12 lakhs serving personnel plus, and there are reserves and there is a territorial army. The army basically is around, battle equipment, that is the battle tanks, the artillery, where is the rockets, missiles, aircraft, and the army in India is deployed from Jammu and Kashmir to Gujarat in the northeast. So the entire country is covered, and that is army, Indian Army. The Indian Army has got same ethos, everything across the country. So if you see, it is not only in India that the army is deployed. We also go for UN peacekeeping forces. We go for humanitarian requirements abroad as well. Now, what are the army entries? I will skip this. NDA, Naval Academy, 10+2, which is not applicable for you. Probably you could have tried much before. As soon as you finished your 10+2 technical entry scheme. This is called as the CDS examination. It is different. There is an exam conducted by UPSC. If you go into the UPSC website, twice a year, there is an examination conducted. Now, if you qualify the examination, and if you're a B.Tech student up to age of 25, that means when you join, you have to be 25 or less. So it is both for men and women. Now the whole armed forces is open now to women as well. And of course, in some places, because it is a very gradual process to try women in different places. That is, sometimes it's difficult to adjust in small places where there are no facilities for women, etc. So it will take some time. It's not that the government of India is against women, nor the armed forces is against women. No, it is that we need to create, there is a separate infrastructure for women. That is required, especially on board ships, aircraft, it has to be created. So that is it. So, but there's a thing called as unmarried. You cannot be married. And after, your applications are scrutinized, your examination, you qualified, you have to undergo the Ssb medicals, and thereafter there is a training at the
Hello.
Indian
Hello.
Military Academy.
Hello.
Blodriga Lennart, vill du vara med?
Okay, that's a good one. Anyway, there is also called as a technical graduate cadre. Okay, what is this? It is that it's a permanent commission. You can be B.Tech or MSc Computer Science. And
yes.
because of being MSc Computer Science, but what is important is when you apply, the advertisement carries all the information and you need to read the advertisement very well. It talks about your qualification, it talks about your, what is the age, etc., etc. So be very careful when you scrutinize the advertisement. You also got the Short Service Commission technical entry. This is for ladies and gentlemen. And the notifications, many of the notifications for all these entries are twice in a year. That means every 6 months, we're taking in people. It is called as the university entry scheme, like I was telling you. In the Join various companies depending on what you want. Permanent commission, short service commission, it's called as Army.
Уважаемый игрок, админ сервера думает, что ты читер ебучий. Ты должен в течение 3 раундов скинуть скайп и пройти проверку. За отказ от проверки или выход с сервера.
MCA students can apply. 27. Here you will see that married, unmarried. You could be married also. This is the only place where they allow married people to join. Because probably the age is more, because it's going beyond 25 to 27. They can't wait for long. So it is that. Okay, so both. Anyway, okay. So there is also a special, I'm sure many of you are, got C certificate with A or B grade, minimum B grade. You can also apply for it. You have to be a graduate and have an NCC. I'm sure some of you who have joined this institute before must have already got your NCC certificates. So that will also help you. But remember, all this is after that you go for services selection board, and thereafter there'll be medicals, the merit list is drawn, and then you join. Okay, so the process is the same, whether it is Army, Navy, or Air Force. Okay. This is something called as the Judge Advocate General. We have also got lawyers in the armed forces, but probably LLBs. I don't know, there are LLBs here, so I'll skip this much. Now that is about the Army entries. Before I go on to the Naval and the Air Force entries, I want to tell you the procedure for all the 3 armed forces is more or less the same. The way it will be, you have to apply, and the way you're supposed to go will be in the advertisement. And once you see the advertisement, please get into the website of that particular armed forces and read about it. Enough of literature is there. It will explain to you what you're expected to do there. Everything is available. But don't go to any other website. That is the request. Like I showed you the a video on the Army, I will also like you to watch a video on the Indian Navy. This is important because Indian Navy gives you the overall concept as to what the armed forces is. It is a slightly longish video, so please sit back and see. Is on? Pause. Okay. Yeah, I was coming to that. Firstly, the last person sitting there, are you able to hear me? You're able to correlate the slides and my speech adequately? Okay, you have any questions on the Army entry? You can ask me till the video comes. Will not waste our time. Anybody? In fact, at the beginning only, I should have told you that it will be better if it is interactive, because only when it is interactive, that means I would be happy that you're following my presentation, and also whether you're keen to join the armed forces is an indication. Okay, So don't worry about what question you're asking. Don't be hesitant, because this is one of the qualities that we see when you want to join the armed forces. Whether you can stand up and speak out. That is confidence. Okay. So you can ask any one of you, doesn't matter. Any question, where it could be the career or anything else you want to know about the Army, Navy, Air Force, ask me. Okay. Take it. Anybody? Okay. You should develop this confidence. We generally lack this to stand up and speak out. Take it. Okay, as I go further, I'll be showing you a video clip on the Indian Navy. I want you to pay attention to that because it gives you the overview of what India is actually. So it's a longish video. So kindly sit back and see that. Thereafter, I'll cover the entries in the Indian Navy and thereafter in the Air Force, and then go through the service selection procedure. And then I will conclude thereafter, telling you what exactly as an officer you'll be entitled to when it comes to your joining as an officer. This Armed Forces Club, what is this exactly? What all you do in the Armed Forces Club? You're in charge? Who's in charge of the Armed Forces Club? Okay. What exactly you do there? In anyone in the Armed Forces Club here? Okay. 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 Can I start? Can I start? Get a pen drive. Yeah. Didn't think about it. It's fine, fine. We'll wait. Not an issue. So generate. Talk about not an audience. Okay, attention. Fine. Till we get the video, and I will, of course, I can't talk to you about the entries in the Navy and the Air Force. I will tell you about the Services Selection Board. It's more of theoretical thing. The Services Selection Board is over 5 days. The first day you report, and then there are exams you call as the intelligence rating exams, which are conducted. And thereafter, they make you to sit in a group and do group discussion. So once from that, out of 300 people, about 30% are selected, 30 to 40%. So it's quite a, it's generally called as a screening on the first day. Now this 30-40% of the people are taken through a 3-day assessment. Now this 3-day assessment is by different ways. One is they conduct psychological tests written, and second is the ground tests, which is called as a group testing, and the third one is the interview. Now it is generally said that in our Vedas, it comes from our Vedas, of course, that there are 3 ways of assessing a personality. The first being by knowing what is there in the mind. So that is the psychological tests, manasa. Then is on the ground, karmanya, that is your how you do things. And the third one is vacha, how do you speak? So these 3 methods are utilized to know your personality. Now, why I'm telling you this is that when we select you to be an officer, we make sure that you're good for the armed forces. Why? Because you're not only leading people into war, and when you lead people into war, you're taking them into death's harm. There are times when you're facing the enemy. There are missiles coming onto you. So you have to motivate. So that is what is required in an officer. Okay. So we make sure that you're selected. And when we take you, you are the man who can, you're a leader, you're a manager, and can take people along with you. And each officer, if not less, commands at least 50 to 100 men at any time. And you guide them. And in a highly technology intensive time, it is very difficult to monitor 50, 100 people, what work they're doing. And they are firing missiles, they're firing guns, rockets, you're running ships, aircraft, you're preparing aircraft. So it's very responsible job that you will land up after you get selected as an officer. Okay, I will just run this video. It's a longish one, of course. It is more on the Navy. Okay.
Coastlines and island territories of our nation. Who ensures that our trade at sea flows unhindered? Who secures the seas so that our lives throb and succeed on land? Who renders help at sea when nature unleashes its fury? Who watches over the deep blue to ensure a peaceful sleep for 1.25 billion Indians? force that is powered to perform, equipped to dominate, inspired to hold sway by might and unparalleled courage. A force that is defined by the ethos of duty, honor, courage. The Indian Navy is a mighty manifestation of India's maritime power. It takes on the evolving, multi-dimensional battle environment of today's naval warfare in both offensive and defensive operations. It confronts a number of non-traditional maritime threats like terrorism, piracy, organized crime, as also climate change and natural disasters. The Indian Navy's ability to mobilize rapidly in calamities and conflict situations doesn't just bring hope and ensure relief for our people. It lifts the spirit of the nation and wins the world's trust. With the rapidly evolving nature of threats, the Indian Navy is constantly updating its combat abilities to transform into a modern, agile, mobile, and technology-driven force. From concept to combat, the Indian Navy is steeped in the spirit of Make in India. It has indigenously developed aircraft carrier, high-tech submarines, anti-submarine warfare corvette, water jet fast attack crafts, and the nation's first indigenous floating dock. India's maritime forces are prepared for range and mobility to fulfill their responsibilities in the extended security horizon beyond their own shores. To tackle the full spectrum of challenges, from terrorism to strategic, in a technology-driven environment, the naval officers and brave seamen are trained, imbibing in them the high ideals of loyalty, valor, and patriotism. A regiment that provokes them to venture beyond the ordinary, tests the limits of their endurance, and helps them develop nerves of steel. Tireless vanguard of India's foreign policy objectives. The Navy reaches out to forge partnerships with some of the best maritime powers of the world. The Indian Navy joins forces with friendly nations from around the world to celebrate their moments of glory. In relishing adventure, seeking thrills and reaching for victory, the Indian Navy leads the way. On the 10th of September 2017, 6 brave hearts from the Indian Navy set sail to create history, battling rough seas to circumnavigate the globe as part of the Navika Sagar Parikrama. An Indian naval team stood on top of the world. They summited Mount Everest and planted the ceremonial ice axe as part of the Sagar Dal Se Sagar Mata adventure. The participation of naval personnel at national and international sporting events has also brought laurels and has been vital for developing leadership skills and esprit de corps. The immortal sacrifices of our gallant seamen become legends in naval chronicles, and their families are honored with grief-laden pride. At all times, steady on course to build all-round deterrence against any maritime threat, to decisively win in case of war, and to shape the global maritime environment in favor of our nation. Tech savvy, trade, the Indian Navy, assertive, alert, and wait for India. Combat ready to deter and defeat any misadventure. Whatever it takes, and wherever it takes them.
Okay. This film I wanted to show you. It's not that only Indian Navy is doing so much of work. When it is required, all the 3 forces, the Army, Navy, Air Force, we get together and we got something known as the amphibious operations. So there's a lot to it. It's just that I can't cover it in just half an hour to 45 minutes, the entire thing. But what I wanted to show you is that means we as a nation, we are not only land. We as a nation are into the seas up to 200, to 350 kilometers. It is our seas wherein we are supposed to explore the wealth inside the oceans, and nobody can take it, or nobody should take it. And that's what we do. We guard our waters. So much of wealth is there. There is so much of wealth. Nobody knows how much of wealth is there in the sea. Okay, so we guard it. Of course, there are other forces, but yes, we all come together, work, and make sure that I told you, the sovereign integrity, which is important for us, that is what we stand for. Sovereign integrity. That means we as a nation are strong. And that is from all the armed forces are expected to, through training and preparedness. Okay, now we'll come to the Indian Navy. You must have seen a lot of it, but suffice to say that the Indian Navy stands like the Army stands for tanks, the artillery, guns and all. We stand for the ships, submarine aircraft over the seas, under the seas and above the sea. Whereas Army is on land, like we are over the seas. And we got shore establishment. Ours is a very, very small force, 60. And since we are small, that's why we are technologically oriented. Most of our things are technology driven. It is all remote controlled, few people, well, who are capable. And of course, like the army, we also got missiles, and we protect the seas, oceans, including the island territories. I'll go through the naval entries. Again, 10 plus 2. I told you, you must the bus because you're already a graduate. There is something called as Naval Armament and Inspectorate Cadre, wherein to make sure that the armament that you have, the missile, the guns, etc., are kept well intact. There is a similar cadre with the Army and the Air Force. They bring it under different category, but there are officers who are looking after the things. But the main thing that I want to emphasize is the BTech. All the three forces are now emphasizing on having BTech candidates because you understand technology well. Okay. So you will see that many places is BTech. Even in the education branch, we got BTech people because you're teaching your juniors, the Jawans, the sailors who are going to handle missiles. So you need to teach them in using your technological parlance, your words that you tell them. So you should be technology driven. Now you don't have to get into all this. I only want you to tell you that you're also eligible to be an education officer in the Indian Navy with your BTech degree. It depends what you want to be in the armed forces. There are various ways to come and be an officer in the armed forces. These are the executive branch. It is like the adult. You could be and all those things. You could be a photographer. You could be IT, information technology officer. You could join the submarines. You could be a naval architect. So there are ways for you to be part of the Indian Navy and other two services. These are okay. Executive branch. So there's a delay. Anyway, you could be also pilot and observers. Now I'll tell you, I'll spend a minute here. Pilot is to, you have to run the aircraft, take off, land, and, generally handle the aircraft in air. It is like the pilots in the Air Force. The observers are the mission commanders. When your aircraft goes to the area of operations, there you plan out your mission, how to fire a missile, who should be fired, what is the target, etc. These are the people who do it. So here also we are looking at BTech. Sorry, that BE correction. It's not a mistake. Okay. So the general age is for the graduates it is from 19 to 25, and in some places it is 27 years old. So you got sufficient time for yourself to apply for it. This is also, I told you, after the 5th semester, you could apply. It is called as the UES, like the same what the Army has. More or less, all the three services follow the same. Here, the moment you finish your 10 plus 2, you can apply. Sorry, your 5th semester. So that's why it is 19. There are other entries, like in the Army, you got a JAG, you got musician and sports. You saw there are some people who are excelled in sports in the video. These are the entries that we're talking about. You got musicians. You could be a graduate with a diploma in particular instrument that you can play well. You can join the armed forces. But you will be trained to be a combatant. You will be trained to handle guns, fire, etc. When there is war, the musical instruments go behind. You come and fight the war. During war, everybody fights war. There is no exception. There are no exceptions at all. Everybody, even the cook who prepares food on board ship, fights a war. So everybody is trained to fight a war. So you could be a musician, you could be a sports graduate entry. And these generally, they are all available. You just type on the Google join, and it shows join the Army, join the Navy, join the Air Force. So you go there, click, and thereafter there is a eligibility criteria there. You just press there, you enter your whatever qualification you got, it will tell you what you're eligible for. And when is the general advertisement. Generally, there are scrolls which go saying that so and so entries are open now. Okay. Are you all with me? You're following? Okay. So, but the procedure is the same, like I told you. After your applications are scrutinized, you go through an SSB, medical, and then the merit. Okay. The last line in the slide. Now, I had a video for the Indian Air Force also, but I thought there'll be too much of video and time. So I just, left it. But I will now come to the Indian Air Force. Like the Army looks after the land boundaries, the Navy over the seas, the Indian Air Force is responsible for the airspace around us. Airspace is just into. We are going to have a strategic air command, which will look into the satellites and all those things. So it is going to be beyond your atmosphere and all those things. So we are into a big thing. India as a nation, we are growing multidimensional in all aspects. Okay, just take it. So there are a lot of people required. You can't have growth without people. You need money, men, material, money for a country to grow, and you are the people who are going to be there. Okay. So the Indian Air Force, like the Army, Navy, has got fighter aircraft, which you can see one. Helicopters, they're all combat helicopters. You must have seen the video there. Transport aircraft. These are the transport aircrafts have done wonderful job during humanitarian relief that we send abroad. They are the ones who take our equipment, give it to the other countries when there are floods, there are tsunami, natural disasters and all. When we have to evacuate people, these are the aircraft that are sent from the Indian Air Force, Indian Navy, Army, and all those things. So we are all got missiles. It is now going to be missile war. If at all there is going to be a war, it's going to be missile war. It is going to be, you sit here, press a button, there you attack. You can see the Ukraine war. It is all, hardly you find soldiers there. It is only missiles flying across the skies, and the damages are the other side. So missiles have become a very important arsenal, important equipment for us in the armed forces. They've also got a sizable 5 lakh plus people, and they're like the Navy you might generally find along the coast, because that is where our ships, aircrafts are. But the Air Force, along with the Army, is spread from Kanyakumari to Kashmir and Gujarat to the northeast. So they're also spread across the country. So the whole point is that there are places where all three of us exist together and we work together. And now you would have seen that there is a talk about the CDS, Combined Defense Service. So this is where all the three are going to come together under one umbrella, and we're going to function together for certain, because over the seas, I can't ask the Army to come and do the job. The Army cannot be called to fly aircraft. There is a job of only the aircraft, or the naval chap can't go and do the Army job, fire tank, manage tanks and missiles of theirs. No, but where it is required that we need to work together, we're going to come together. And we're going to, of course, there is a common combat uniform now that we have got. Although the Navy wears white, the Air Force wears blue, the Army wears OG green. So, but there is a thing we are going to, it's been happening. Now it is sure to become a very prominent thing, work together, jointmanship, that's what we call as. Okay. So the Indian Air Force entries, there are only 3 slides here. Now the Air Force started something called as AFCAT examination. Now this is required where CDS is not there, AFCAT. So they've got a technical, it's generally 10+2 level syllabus. So where, you give this exam, and thereafter, like the Army, Navy, and Air Force, they've got their own requirement. The basic requirement is flying, because they've got a lot of aircraft, helicopters, so they require a lot of people to fly. And BTech students are very, very eligible to become pilots. They've got navigators also. So flying is the main thing. They've got something called as technical. These are the people who will, service the aircraft, prepare the aircraft for combat operations. And then the ground duties, of course, you need support for these people. So ground duties could be administrations, accounts, education, and meteorology. Meteorology is, the Air Force is, it depends a lot on the climate. Because when you fly aircraft, you need to predict climate, and also that's why it is meteorology. So that is also one of the branches. So it is suffice to say that there are different jobs that you can do. It is not only job. So you can, whatever you want to do, you join and then choose what you want to do. You could be an administrative officer, accounts officer, technical officer, flying, whatever it is. But you need to have that in you. Like flying, there is an aptitude. Not everybody can fly an aircraft. Some of us have it. Okay. I suppose you're following because it's just an exposure for you. And other than that, you can ask me a question after I finish my presentation in another 5 minutes, I think. So I told you through CDSE, there are other entries. NCC Special we saw in the Army, Navy also is there. JAG, which is also there. Educational qualification, generally BE, BTech and postgraduate degrees. So if you're a BE, BTech, you're eligible. I think all of you who has finished BE, BTech with 60% and more, 60% is the cutoff that we accept in the armed forces. There are other than, I was telling you about the, other than the three forces, there are other paramilitary forces. Territorial Army is one, Coast Guard is another. There are more, which I will not cover, but I just want to tell you that you could also join these places wherein they take graduates. Okay. So it is not only this, you should be trying everywhere, wherever you get. Okay. Now, SSB interview, I've already told you, this is what they look for: leadership skills, practical intelligence, your ability to organize things, your expression, determination, courage, and stamina. Okay, these are the things that are looked. Now, don't be surprised. It is very, you might find it, oh, it's there in all of us. It's only thing is that you have to show it there. If you don't show it, you are not selected. You need to show that you've got courage. You need to show that you've got determination. Without you showing, how can, if I want to select singer, you need to sing there. Then only I can select a singer. If you just keep quiet in front of me, how can I say you're a singer? So this is exactly what it is. In the services selection board, you need to show what you got in you, and then only you'll get selected. Okay, have I made it clear? Okay, that is what is services selection board. Evaluation methods, I told you, the psychology, the group testing, this is all the things that you do there. Okay. And of course, there's medicals after that, stringent medicals, because once we take you in, we make sure that you're fit for next 10 years at least. Okay. Okay. Now, this is important. What are perks and privileges? Your CTC is nearly about 8 lakhs plus. Okay. And maybe your, MNCs and other things may be offering you, but the moment you join, I don't think there are many companies which offer you 8 lakhs plus. It could be later. Generally, it's about 3 to 4 lakhs. But more than this, what you get is you get insurance, of course. You get 60 days annual leave. I don't think any company gives you. You get casual leave also. You get leave travel concessions. That means you can travel anywhere in India, Northeast, anywhere with your family if you're married. Okay, so there is additional leave in case there are sick leave and all. Medical care, it's totally free for you. We got hospitals. Anything, any operation is done. Not only you, your family gets it. You're dependent. If your parents are dependent on you, they get it. So the perks, privileges in the armed forces are quite a lot. It's the money package is, that is not. You get schooling for your children. There are schools within our own bases. There are Kendriya Vidyalayas, there are central schools, there are so many schools. Other than that, recreational sports you saw, people diving, skydiving and all those things. So we got all facilities. Most of these facilities are there in all the Army, Navy, Air Force establishments. So it is there for you. That's what I told you. It is not career. It is a way of life. It is like in the armed forces, every day is planned for you. Today there will be football. It will start at 4 o'clock. It will start at 4 o'clock. Today there will be swimming. Today there will be a party. It will start at 7:30. It will start at 7:30 and finish at 10 o'clock. It will finish at 10 o'clock. So it's a way of life that you lead, a disciplined, a controlled life that you feel nice about it. There are if the bus has to come at 7:30 to pick up the children, it will be there at 7:30. for school. Okay, so that is how we live. So I told you, it's not career, it is way of life that you're choosing when you become part of the Indian Armed Forces. That's why you need to go to probably Karwa Seaboard project. Just go drive around. You will feel it's a different place, you know. And there are a lot of things that technology, like the expedition to Mount Everest. People have gone to Antarctica. It is sailing around the globe by 6 women. It is tremendous. It is, phenomenal with no support. We encourage. So there are a lot of adventure things that are happening. So what do you get? Honor, courage, commitment when you join. It is more than a career or job. It has got respect and honor, our uniform. There is no day when you are not in uniform. You have to be in uniform day whenever you are out on a job. There is a fixed uniform for everything. There is a uniform for your dinner also. There's a different uniform for dinner when you have dinner together. So it is a disciplined life. Okay, you're choosing a way of life, I told you. Okay. So the choice is yours where you want to be. Army, Navy, Air Force, what you want to be, education officer, NAIC, JAG, or you want to be flying observer. So there's so much of things for you. You choose, do your self-assessment, self-interest, and then take a call. Thank you. I've finished. And if you've got any questions, anybody? Even if there are any kind of question, not only entries, of course, entries is one thing you're quite clear about what you want to do. So anything else? But it is now it is open for women. Whether permanent commission and short service commission, we leave it to the government. But at least short service commission is generally for 10 years plus 4 years. So you could just about try, all ladies, try for 10 years. Okay. But once you join, you all can marry. That's there. Okay. So don't worry about marriage part of it. Yes. No. So earlier, what had happened, sir, it was it was awareness campaign actually. Now it is called as the UES. It is the same UES entry. It is the same thing. Because we were really short of people, so they went about doing that. Now, once that has got streamlined, so it is now advertised, so that more people get to know. Otherwise, it was only visit to colleges and few colleges, not all colleges. Now, when you put it on the media, it is open to everybody, so everybody can access it and apply for it. And you'll all be surprised to know that I'm not dividing this country into rural and urban and all, but we find more response from the the villages because probably they have become more media savvy than us. They get information faster than we get. So we find a lot of people coming from there, joining the countryside, urbanized, of course. When I say cities, I call Dharwad, Hubli, Belgaum. But other than that, where colleges are there nowadays, your engineering colleges are almost everywhere, I suppose. So we get a lot of responses from there. Okay. Okay, thank you once again. It was nice. It was a pleasure. Okay, it was a pleasure in the sense after I retired, 36 years of service, there are 2-3 things I had kept for myself, aims. One of the aims is to, generally help students, guide them to join the armed forces. So I'm meeting my aim by giving you lectures like this. Thank you, sir, giving an opportunity for me. And thank you, Kulkarni.
Thank you, sir, for giving us the knowledge in the field of career guidance and defense, plus the way of life, starting right away from Ramayana Mahabharata to the current day scenario, and also giving us a hope that we all can be Yodhas. To sum up, I can say we are safe, happy, and smiling and having a peaceful day, peaceful sleep because we have armed forces taking charge of their duties. Hope some of us will try to be in armed forces with some knowledge from you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, I request all dignitaries to felicitate Captain R.R. Patil, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, I request Dr. Sharad Joshi, sir, Principal KLEIT, to deliver presidential remarks.
Good evening, all of you. How is the Josh? I didn't see that. You didn't ask any questions to our guest. There must be questions lingering in your mind. And as he rightly pointed out, you should have that courage. The questions you have will be proved only if you ask them. Yes or no? So if you still have questions, ask him before he leaves. Because you see, as he said, there is time for everything. It has to be done on time every time. He said he will finish by 4:30 and you heard the siren when he sat down. Yes or no? That is the punctuality. That is the definition of punctuality. That is the definition of timeliness. We all are mesmerized the way he explained various avenues of entering into the armed forces. Captain Rudragowda Patil, sir, like many of us, he hails from a rural area. Like many of us, he didn't have exposure to all these things in his childhood. Like many of us, he was not good in English. I presume so, sir, in his childhood. Because that was the atmosphere, that was the way things were at that time. But look at him today, with the motive, with the objective of taking a few youngsters to run the defense of the country. He has come all the way to address you people. We have the Armed Forces Club here. Unfortunately, sir, these people are not yet members of it. We have started today only for few people. The academic year has started today. The membership drive will start from tomorrow. Dr. Kumar Swami and Professor Ravi will be after you to get you on board for Armed Forces Club. And then you will realize many incidents like this. I would also request the coordinators to display the way that you can enter into armed forces in the area, in the common area, so that many of you, after seeing it several times, might be encouraged to enter into. So he came on time, whatever time he had given, and even if it was raining very heavily in Belgaum, it rained the way it rained yesterday here. He said, I brought the rain here today. No, we sent the rain because we had yesterday rains. We sent the rains to receive you, sir. And armed forces is not a career, a way of life, very beautifully explained, demonstrated, and lived by Captain Patil. So it's the way of life, the way they do, they talk, they walk, everything is in a disciplined, in a determined way, in a pre-decided way, pre-programmed, if you want to have it in your own language. So it's a pre-programmed academy, pre-programmed way of life. So everything is disciplined. And not only he gave you the perks also. These days, you people, while taking the admission in the first year itself, what would be the package that the companies give in this college? That would be the question most dear to you. So he gave the answer to that also, 8.5 lakhs plus. Not just the perks, the opportunity to hold your head high, the opportunity to feel pride for the country and serving the country. That is what is in the offing in the armed forces. Is the respect, it is the honor that is beyond all sorts of perks. And many of you are eligible for many of these courses, many of these services. So think on those lines, and start having that mentality, that attitude of discipline, attitude of thinking straight, thinking clear, and doing what it should be done the way it should be done. So all those things you can inculcate from today itself, so that you become eligible mentally, physically, emotionally to be in the armed forces. He gave the details of all these, the three wings of the combined defense of our country: the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy. We will shortly be having a NCC Air Wing also on our campus. We are trying hard to get it. Professor D.R. Kulkarni is after that. Today, he is instrumental in bringing Captain Patil over here, and he is also instrumental in bringing the NCC Air Wing to the campus. So you can enroll yourself. Many of you are already there in the NCC because we depute you to the other institutions where NCC is there. You go there, get the training, and through that also you can join these armed forces and become what he said, assertive, alert, and awake. That is what is required to be in the armed forces and do whatever it takes to do. That is how you can cherish and you can adopt this way of life. For a change, I would request you, try doing things in a disciplined way. I'm not saying you are too indisciplined, but I would also not dare to call you too disciplined. So therefore, for a change, try to do it in a disciplined way, and you will cherish, you will enjoy really. Come to the college on time. Punctuality is the first symptom of discipline. Be always well dressed. Attire, what makes your attitude. So do these things, external things first. Internally, it will make you better. It will transform you from within, and you will be the fittest person, whether you join armed forces or you have your different way of life. There also you will cherish, you will succeed in whatever you do. So today should be a beginning for you, not just a beginning of a new academic year, but a beginning of new thinking, new way of thinking about the career. So your other careers, I don't say they are bad, they are also needed. But if you look it in a satiric way, you will have to put your head down to work on your computers, on your keyboard. But in armed forces, your head is always held high. So therefore, there is this difference in the way you lead your life. And the others responsible for today's success of the function is Bhavani gave a good invocation. Ankita gave a good introduction, even though it was a little bit less in energy. So the armed forces person, you should talk to him in their language, in the language which is full of energy. That's how you should. Your claps also should be like that. Let me hear a round of clap for today's captain. That makes a soldier happy. A soldier is never happy with any material thing, anything that is bought by money. Soldier is happy by emotions. Soldier is happy by honor. They can give their life for honor. So that is how that is to be given to a soldier always. And all people in the armed forces are all soldiers. Remember. So we also had instrumental persons in this, Ravi Hasmani and Dr. Kumar Swami, Dr. Kulkarni sir. All of you have been really instrumental in this, and we will take this forward. So at least a few people, we already have few people from KLEIT in armed forces. Couple of years ago, there was Captain Kulkarni from Air Force, who was a chief guest for our annual social gathering. He's an alumnus of our institute. We have people in armed forces. So therefore, we want to send more people to armed forces. The institute, the KLE society would cherish its existence by contributing to the country, contributing to the glory of this great nation. So once again, I thank Captain Rudragowda Patil sir for making it to this institute and motivating us. And I would request once again to you, if you have questions, I'm sure you have, ask those before he leaves. Otherwise, you may have to repent, because we teachers do not have answers to these questions that you may want to ask Captain Patil. Right? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anytime in future, you want to ask something, guidance, or how to join, you can always take my number, contact me on most welcome. With pleasure, don't hesitate. Part of you all, anytime you want any kind of guidance, any help to join the armed forces, you can give me a call once.
Thank you, sir. I now request Dr. Kulkarni sir to deliver a vote of thanks.
First of all, I wholeheartedly thank my fellow classmate, my good personal friend, Captain Raja Patil, for having made it to the function despite his busy schedule at Belgaum. I thank the principal of this institute, Dr. Sharad Joshi sir, for all his encouragement and help in making this program a big success, and also extending all kinds of help in the preparation. I also thank Manu sir, very soft-spoken dean, who stood by me through thick and thin in all the preparations. I shall be filling in my duties if I personally don't thank Asmani sir and others for having put in all their efforts. I also heartily thank many technicians over here. They are actually the persons who have to be thanked, because they have made all this, this technical savvy assembly hall a good one for us to use for a long time. I thank Mahantesh I thank our electrician Shankar, who is doing a woman job in helping us in carrying through all kinds of these functions. I also thank all of my colleagues, all the heads of the departments who stood by us in the arrangement of this program and also in ensuring its total success. I heartily thank all of my students who were here, and I was after Raja Patil to come over here for a long time, and it is you for you people now to carry forward this his message to stand by the nation, whether it is a defense services job or other kinds of jobs. I'm certainly must have all been, moved by his brilliant talk. He was brilliant at the school also. So I hope as he has been very free to share his mobile number, I'm sure at least some of you can talk to him one-to-one, and you can extract the maximum benefit out of his potential. Remember, he was the chairman Service Selection Board, Bangalore Division, for the selection of the officers for the Indian Navy for almost 4 years. So the more you interact, the more you will gain. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request everyone to please stand up for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उत्कल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय
Jai. Thank you all for arranging this event both online and offline and making this event successful.
Only want my laptop.
ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಮೊನ್ನೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ 14 ಫುಲ್ ಹಂಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟೋಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ.